This video will look at determinants of health. We're going to look at what the definition of determinants of health is, and we're also going to be looking at various factors that can affect one's health. So sometimes you'll have good health, and the reason why you have good health could be related to one of these conditions. And sometimes you'll have bad health, and the reason why someone would have bad health is again related to one of these factors. So before we look into the determinants of health, I want to go over this definition, interprofessional collaboration. So there is something called interprofessional, and there's also something called intraprofessional. So interprofessional is when you have two or more professionals who are learning from each other to improve the quality of care through collaboration. So if I have a client, I can collaborate with a doctor, I can collaborate with a nurse, with a dentist, with a hygienist, and we can together work together to treat the client. An intraprofessional collaboration is when you work with another denturist, for example. So when two denturists are working together to treat the client, or when two hygienists are working together, or when two dentists are working together. So when the people from the same profession are working together, it's intra. But when you have people from outside your profession working together, then it's inter. I'm going to get you to pause this video and just have a read over here. When you're done reading this, let's just look at what happened here. So here is a picture of Jason, and he's in the hospital because he has a bad infection in his leg. So we won't think much of that, but if we dig or dive a little deeper, we will know that the reason why he had an infection was because he was playing in the junkyard next to his apartment building. And the reason why he was playing in a junkyard and not a playground was because in his area where he lives, there is no playground. And there's also no one to supervise him. And the reason why he lives in that area is because his parents can't afford a nice place. And the reason why his parents can't afford a nice place is because, well, his dad's not working and his mom is sick. And the reason why his dad is not working is because he doesn't have much education. So the fact that he's in a hospital may not mean much to you right now, but when you dig deeper, you'll realize that there's so many factors to why this happened. Had his dad been has his dad been educated, they could have lived in a nicer place that has a playground and not a junkyard, and he may have avoided that fall that way. The reason why I bring this up is because when we look at determinants of health, this is basically many determinants or many factors that play a role in someone's health. So if we look at Jason, who is living in a poor physical environment, right? He's living in an apartment next to a junkyard, so the environment that he's staying in is not the greatest. His parents are actually not even employed because his mom is sick, and it's very hard for his dad to find a job. So poor income. They probably cannot afford dental treatment, so that access to dental services is not there. He may not have a healthy child development because he is in a low income area. Maybe he's not able to. I'm just throwing an example here, but maybe he doesn't have the right amount of tools, toys, stuff like that to support his development, his child development. He may be going to school, and we hope that he does further his education past high school, but that again is an unknown, right? So you can see that so many factors play a role when determining his health, when determining someone's health. And this also applies to someone in dental. So for example, let's look at this example here. When someone has perfect dentition versus someone who has very poor oral health. So let's look at why this could be. Let's say someone has access to health services, so they have access to dental care, so they can go see a dentist every 6 months, every 3 months, maybe because they're wealthy, or maybe because they have insurance, and right, they can afford it. So if I can afford it and I go for a cleaning every 6 months, my mouth will probably look like this as opposed to this. But if I cannot access dental care, and if I cannot afford it, then my mouth will probably look something like this. Genetics play a role. If my parents have diabetes, if my parents have a high risk of cavities, I'll probably have that too. If my parents have a low immune system and get sick often, that can affect your oral health as well. But if my parents have great genetics, then I might be lucky and have great genetics and end up with teeth like this. Individual behaviors. So, am I brushing and flossing regularly? Am I going to a dentist regularly? Am I avoiding sugary, diet? If so, my mouth will look like that. If not, then my mouth will look like this. Social factors. Do I really believe in the importance of taking care of my mouth? If I do, my mouth will probably look like that. If I don't, then it will look like this. Oral health literacy. Am I educated? Do I understand the importance of maintaining oral health? If so, this is what my mouth will look like. If not, it could be like this. And then policy making looks at, am I living in an area where I have fluoridated water? Because if I have fluoridated water, my teeth will be stronger, less chance of cavities. But if I live in an area where I do not have fluoridated water, then perhaps my teeth can look like that. So you can see over here what's happening is that depending on where you live, depending on your social support networks or the friends and support that you have, depending on the environment you live in, whether it's, actually if you look over here, your 50% of these factors can be traced to your zip code. So where you live, if you live in a well-off area compared to if you live in a poor area, that actually plays a role in your health. So where you live, the type of education do you have? Is it just a high school diploma, or is it a college degree or university degree, or is it further than that? Because that plays a role. Studies generally show that if you're highly educated, you have a high income, and your health will also be pretty good. Right? So you can see there's so many factors or so many determinants that affect your health. So to conclude, let's look at this show right here. Here's a clip from the Friends TV show. And after watching that show, I want you to think about what determinants of health Phoebe, who is one of the actors here, what did she face, and what did Mike face? Okay, and discuss how you came up with these answers.